Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's another Premier League prediction show that I've got in store for you today. Another game week is upon us, and this one might actually be quite special because I don't want to speak too soon. But maybe, just maybe, this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures will actually feature all 20 Premier League teams and therefore all 10 Premier League games that consist of a normal match day weekend. Fingers crossed there's no postponements between now and then. There doesn't appear to be right now. There hopefully won't be going forward. Fingers crossed we get a full game week for the first time in God knows how long. But before we get into the predictions and the analysis, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And for now, let's get into the predictions. We are going to kick things off with Friday night's game that will feature Watford taking on Norwich at Vicarage Road. So fantasy football managers, get your teams ready for Friday night's game. Watford last time out drew 1-1 with Newcastle in that near bottom of the table clash, of course, whilst Norwich were actually lifted off the foot of the table with a 2-1 victory over Everton. A huge bottom of the table clash to kick off this Premier League weekend we have in store for us on Friday night. Norwich can leapfrog Watford and actually leap out of the bottom three, whilst Watford could obviously be put into that relegation zone if they obviously lose this game. But a win for Watford, and they can actually put more points between themselves and the bottom three. So it's a massive game. It's all to play for in this relegation 6-pointer it could prove to be. Will Claudio Ranieri be in hot water though should Watford not win this game? It has been a while since Watford has sacked a manager, so it's quite possible that that could be talked about if Watford fail to win this game. However, as far as the prediction does go for this game, I'm actually going to go for a draw here and say that this game will finish 1-1 come the final whistle. Next up, we're going to be talking about Saturday's midday kickoff that will see Everton take on Aston Villa at Goodison Park. Everton, of course, lost last time out when they were beaten by Norwich 2-1 in what was Rafa Benitez's final game in charge of the Toffees, whilst Villa fought back very valiantly, very late on against Manchester United to draw 2-2. It's an intriguing game, this one, made all the more interesting by the fact that Rafa Benitez was sacked last week following Everton's defeat at Norwich and has been replaced by a temporary manager in the form of Duncan Ferguson. We saw over a couple of years ago, of course, the same thing happened where Duncan Ferguson took over as an interim manager back then, and he had an instant positive impact on the Toffees, and they will be hoping that, of course, that can be replicated here in this instance. For Villa, for obvious reasons, Steven Gerrard, their manager, will want to get one over on the old enemy of Everton. Of course, he played in many a Merseyside derby, and of course, he will want to get one over on an old foe here. And also, last week, of course, saw the return to the Premier League of Philippe Coutinho, back with a bang, assisted and scored in that 2-2 draw in Manchester United. So this game, it will be very interesting to watch and difficult to call. I'm just going to give Villa the edge though here. I think that Villa will go on and win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Villa got something from this game, but I am going to go with a Villa win and say that they go on to win this game by 2-1. Next up, Brentford take on Wolves. That's our next game of focus. The Bees lost 3-1 to Manchester United last time out in a midweek clash, whilst Wolves are actually on the right end of the 3-1 scoreline when they beat Southampton last weekend. Big game this one. The Bees will be looking to get back to winning ways, of course, against the Wolves side who are finding some good form and, of course, are a solid defensive outfit. I wonder if the game midweek will have taken its toll on Brentford in that defeat to Manchester United and if Wolves are able to take advantage of that. I would strongly predict that Wolves will win this one, but you can never rule out Brentford's strong work rate and fight. They just need to start putting away their chances. But I do think that Wolves will actually win this game. I am going to go 2-0 to the away side. Next, we're at Ellen Road for Leeds taking on Newcastle. Leeds were victorious last time out when they beat West Ham 3-2, whilst Newcastle drew in that bottom of the table clash with Watford 1 each. This one is very interesting. You've got Leeds United, a side who have probably been picked up with a surprise victory against West Ham last week, and with all due respect, have had a horrible season plagued by injuries, but have kept battling away and have sort of got their rewards in many ways with a couple of good results here and there. And like I say, last week was a very good result against high-flying West Ham. Coming up against a Newcastle side, making waves in the transfer windows, but they really need to start putting more and better performances and better results on the pitch, of course, in order to try and survive in the Premier League this season. It's a tricky game to call. Either side could go on and win it, but I am actually going to predict a draw here and say that this game will finish 2-2 come the final whistle. Next, we'll talk about a return to Old Trafford for one David Moyes as his West Ham side travel away to face Manchester United at Old Trafford. United were victorious last time out in their game against Brentford midweek when the Red Devils won 3-1 against the Bees, whilst West Ham were beaten last time out in the Premier League when they lost 3-2 to Leeds. Probably a game in which West Ham might go into as favourites, in all honesty, in this game. That doesn't mean you should rule out United. Of course, they do have the players to go on and win this game and get a good result here, but I would be leaning more towards West Ham in this fixture. It's not been the best of starts to life as an interim manager at Manchester United for one Ralph Rangnick. Many results and many stories coming out of Old Trafford have been negative, to say the least, and haven't put him in the best of light, shall we say, in his role as manager. But for this game, a draw wouldn't surprise me. United have the capabilities to at least get a draw and even a win, so either result really doesn't matter. But like I said, I think West Ham actually do go into this one as favourites, and I'm calling for David Moyes' side to actually return and haunt his former club and go on and win this game, and that's why I'm going to go for a Hammers win and say that they win 2-1. Saturday's evening clash sees Southampton host Manchester City at St Mary's. Last time out, of course, Southampton were beaten 3-1 by Wolves last weekend, whilst also on the same day where City kept up their perfect winning form in recent weeks and months with a 1-0 victory over Chelsea to maintain their top of the table status. You would think that with this game happening this weekend, that this will be one of the more favourable and more predictable games to call this week, and maybe it is. City should be winning this game and maintaining their strong position at the top of the table, of course. However, don't rule out Southampton instantly. The Saints are one of the few teams that already this season to have taken points off of City this campaign, as the two teams enjoyed a goalless draw earlier on in the campaign when they met. So this actually does throw out a fair bit of intrigue to this game. I personally hope, fingers crossed, that Southampton do manage to pull off a good result here and make City drop some points. But if we're being honest with ourselves, City should and probably will win this game. And that is where my prediction lies, as it is the safe bet at the end of the day to go with a City win. And that's why I'm predicting a 3-0 victory to Pep Guardiola's side. Moving on to Sunday's games, and first up we come to the Emirates Stadium where Arsenal are taking on Burnley. Last time out, Arsenal were meant to be facing the North London derby against Tottenham, but that game got called off due to Arsenal's unavailable players, shall we say, and their application to get that game postponed and called off was actually successful by the Premier League, so that game didn't go ahead. At the time of recording, they are set to be taking on Liverpool tonight in the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg, so that game will go ahead, it seems. But as for Burnley, I don't remember the last time Burnley played with, to be all honesty with you. They seem to have like 47 games in hand over everybody else, so it has seemingly been a while since Burnley have been in action. So that does actually add even more intrigue to this game. Assuming that this game does go ahead, and it likely will, but who knows with everything going on right now. Again, should this game go ahead, this result should be one of the more favourable and more predictable games to call. You feel Arsenal should be beating Burnley here, no doubt about it, but don't rule out Burnley straight off the bat. We know that Burnley like to ruffle Arsenal's feathers in recent seasons, and this one may be no different. And maybe the extra time off may have had a positive effect on Burnley, whilst the extra game in midweek may have had, obviously, taken its toll on Arsenal. However, in saying that, I am going to go with a more favourable result and the likely outcome, and that is with an Arsenal victory, and say that Arsenal get the 3 points here, and I'm predicting a 2-1 victory in favour of the Gunners. Next, we're at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Palace drew 1-1 with Brighton last time out, whilst Liverpool were 3-0 winners against Brentford in their last Premier League game. Very interesting game, this one. Selhurst Park, I imagine, will be rocking and bouncing. It could prove to be a very hostile environment for Liverpool to be walking into. And we know Palace have proven to be tough opposition for most teams this season. And without Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, it might be a tricky game for the Reds to navigate past. A draw wouldn't surprise me, but I'm backing Liverpool all the way by any means necessary to get the result here and get the win. And that's why I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool win. Our penultimate game in this list of fixtures this week features Leicester taking on Brighton at the King Power Stadium. Leicester, of course, massively bottled it on Wednesday night against Tottenham when they conceded 2 very, very, very late goals in injury time to lose 3-2 despite being 2-1 up in the 94th minute. Then losing 3-2 there, whilst Brighton managed to pull off a 1-1 draw against Chelsea on Tuesday night. This is going to be quite the underrated and overshadowed game of football we have on our hands this weekend. Two teams who like to get the ball down and play football and play attacking football. It could be an exciting end-to-end encounter in store for us here. It makes it for a difficult game to call, and it may even be even more difficult with the fact that these two teams like to put on a show very late on for whether it's good or bad reasons in recent weeks. So definitely don't leave this one early if you are going or if you're actually watching the game. Either side could nick the 3 points here, but I'm going to go for a draw in this game for the draw specialist Brighton this season. And that is why I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. And finally, what I believe to be the main event of this round of Premier League fixtures, the biggest game this weekend in the Premier League. Sunday, we'll see a big London derby with fierce and bitter rivals clashing at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea host Tottenham. Chelsea drew 1-1 with Brighton last time out, while Spurs, of course, fought back deep into injury time from being 2-1 down to Leicester to eventually, in like the 97th, 98th minute, beating the Foxes by 3-2. Two teams who have got even more acquainted with themselves than they probably would have liked to in recent weeks. This will be their third meeting this month alone after, of course, a 2-legged Carabao Cup semi-final that they both endured and played out in recent weeks, in which of course Chelsea came out on top, both in terms of both games and in terms of the aggregate scoreline. On paper and with history also in mind, Chelsea should be winning this game. It's as simple as that. But again, games aren't won on paper. It's a derby. If I can use again the derby bingo sheet, the derby cliche bingo sheet, whatever you want to call it, then this calls for me to say that form goes out the window in this game. It's about who wants it more. It's about who wants to claim those bragging rights and the 3 points. We should be in for one hell of a feisty London derby on Sunday. No doubt in my mind about that. Both teams have got something big to play for. But my prediction, though, is that Chelsea get back to winning ways in this game and for the Blues to win this game by 3-1 come the final whistle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures? What are your own thoughts, comments, opinions, and of course, most of all, your predictions on all the games that are coming up this weekend? Also, fantasy football managers, who are you putting into your team? Who are you taking out of your team? Who do you see having a good week? Who do you see having a bad week? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, all on that as well. But most of all, of course, your predictions down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it will all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and preferably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.